I expected De De Pyaar De 2 to at least be this good, silly, fun time at the movies. But in the process, Ajay Devgan being a glorified extra in his own franchise was not on my bingo card. I love a good time at the movies. Something fun, something chill and light-hearted for a change. Ajay Devgan has been on a sequel and franchise marathon since the past few years. He has been renewing franchises like the Infinity Stones like his life depended on it. Even refreshing movie franchises that really no one asked for. De De Pyaar De in 2019 was a fun time at the movies, a movie that intentionally focused on the age gap between the leading pair and the adjustment period and confusion that arises as he introduces his much younger girlfriend to his family and ex-wife. While everyone remembers the lazy and somewhat silly resolution in the conclusion of the last film, surprisingly, we have a sequel here that is actually a continuation of the events of where we left off. Shocking, right? A sequel thinking about continuity? Becoming our own version of Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers, this time Aisha, played by Rakul Preet Singh, wants to introduce Ashish, played by Ajay Devgan, to her parents, played by R. Madhavan and Gautami Kapoor, with the prospect, obviously, to get married. As the age gap is largely apparent, the parents who project themselves as progressive and modern are internally struggling with this union. The adjustment period with the family is a major portion of the film, but their innate disapproval of the couple leads them to take personal responsibility in causing tension in the relationship. By introducing Aisha's childhood friend, Adi, played by Mizan Jafri, in the mix, a man of the same age demographic, a childhood friend, and what is considered to be an ideal match in the eyes of the parents. The confusion and comedy of errors is De De Pyaar De 2. Here's me telling you the good and bad aspects of the film so that you guys can ultimately decide whether to watch the movie in theaters or not. The good. Pop culture moments and brief snippets of fun. I think we have countless number of times complained on this channel about how movies depend on trending topics outside of their worlds. Meme references that become stale within a few days, only to see them get integrated months later in movies and for them to be extremely dated and somewhat cringe. De De Pyaar De 2 refreshingly relies on its comedy based on the situations the character find themselves in. The predicament itself is so awkward and confusing that the writing just needs to build on the dynamics between characters. And both writers, Love Ranjan and Tarun Jain, do a satisfactory job at best in this department. Even when there is an influence of pop culture, it is still associated with films connected with actors, like Ashish making an entry as an Innova drifts but not being able to get out like Singham, or art produced by the film industry itself. The radio awkwardly playing Main Kya Karu Ram Mujhe Buddha Mil Gaya as Ashish is being integrated as the prospective groom. It fits for the world we are in. Javed Jafri notices the swagger and effort of Mizan and exclaims, "Kash ye mera beta hota." The references to the difference in generations is described through the way fictional characters in the movies of each one's era would act. Hum Dil De Chuke Sanam and DDLJ find themselves in dialogues, and funnily so, even Vashikaran and Shaitan are hilariously described as the manner in which Ajay may have trapped Rakul. My man did a Zuban Kesari also, and I felt like cheering. So the meta references are fun. The only portions of the film that really made me chuckle is when Ajay Devgan and Javed Jafri lie on a charpai and share their observations and frustrations of the day as the proximity between Adi and Aisha grow closer. You get what I mean though. The makers are not desperate for the validation of a younger demographic to laugh, almost using buzzwords and memes so that they fit in, like jaded parents wanting to be cool. They know their product, and rather than doing a stand-up set for the film-going audience, it just builds on the funny dependent on the pickle the characters find themselves in. The sad part is that this is few and far between, and the storyline itself is so bloody dumb that it genuinely tests your patience. Who is the standout? What's funny and rather odd regarding this movie is that you assume you are stepping in for an Ajay Devgan movie with Rakul Preet Singh, but he is sidelined so much in this movie that you eventually conclude by the end of it that this is more a daughter-father story between Rakul Preet Singh and R. Madhavan. I will come to Rakul's performance a little later, but the person who puts in genuine effort in this film is R. Madhavan as the patriarch of the house, who may be progressive and modern from the exterior, but is genuinely perturbed by what people may think about his daughter's new partner. He has a simmering anger, frustration, and even knows how to switch his dramatic and funny side whenever the scenes demand it. The only portions in which the film gives us a glimpse of something real is when Madhavan is on screen. I would have loved for him and Gautami Kapoor to be more of a unit together, because the movie in the initial portions show their frustrations as a collective unit, but as the movie progresses, the filmmakers sideline Gautami's character and make Madhavan take center stage. When Gautami and Madhavan do the heavy lifting together, it's so much fun to watch. I don't know why they let it go. In the supporting cast, the actors who do end up making you chuckle or stay with you are Javed Jafri as Ashish's friend, who does provide the harsh truth when needed, Ishita Datta as Aisha's pregnant sister-in-law who has her back but hilariously cannot keep a secret, and Mizan Jafri as Adi, who has a charm and wit that really does surprise you in this movie. I think Mizan is making it a habit to be a part of rather mid to poor films, appear in a song and charm his way and leave, and it's only providing a glimpse to the audience of his capabilities. I think he genuinely needs something solid as a leading man at this point, because this film, especially the way the storyline progressed, made me pull my hair in frustration. The underwhelming aspects. Odd adjustment period. I'm all for appropriate casting and, most importantly, the well-intentioned nature of making the age gap the central topic of discussion. However, beyond the leading pair of Ajay Devgan and Rakul Preet Singh, I found the casting of the parents to be slightly alarming, because it's tough for me to imagine R. Madhavan and Gautami Kapoor as the parents of Rakul Preet Singh. Gautami Kapoor is 51 years old in real life and Rakul Preet Singh is 35. And by doing the maths, the filmmakers want the audience to assume that she had her when she was 16. I know that they have adjusted the ages to make it slightly more appropriate. Aisha is presented as a 28-year-old in this movie, but irrespective, I found myself to have like an adjustment period visually to see R. Madhavan and Gautami Kapoor play parents to a child turning 30. They would have better suited, in my opinion, as an older brother and sister-in-law. At one point of time, R. Madhavan says, "हम बाप बेटी कम दोस्त ज़्यादा हैं," and I agree, visually too. Kudos to even both the actors for accepting these roles, because I often hear how insecure actors feel when cast as parents of leading ladies, as it weirdly becomes a sign of them aging and being dismissed as supporting characters. They sportingly did these roles and honestly killed it too. Love Ranjan staples. There is a visual aesthetic of a Love Ranjan movie that has almost become universal now. I swear to God, it seemed like Madhavan and Gautami Kapoor's house was shot in the same place where Ranbir Kapoor's family lived in Tu Jhooti Main Makkar, with a similar garden outside their house, and oftentimes the architecture of these locations are so similar that one can sniff out the fact that this is a Love Ranjan production. Secondly, the majority complaints about the aesthetic of a movie like Tu Jhooti Main Makkar was how airbrushed and 2 shades lighter every actor looked in the movie, and De Pyaar De 2 is no different, with all actors looking 2 shades lighter and having this perpetual blush on their face with their lightened pink lips that it almost becomes distracting at one point. I don't get the obsession of making everyone 2 shades lighter. You especially notice this with the likes of Ajay Devgan and R. Madhavan. And another element of Love Ranjan movies that just doesn't seem to go and exists here as well is the rambling nature of dialogues that almost make one feel कि किसी character की train छूटने वाली है. Characters are found saying dialogues almost as if they are forced to say it in one breath, and the hook is to use one word in the sentence in as many variations as possible. The dialogues will be बुरी खबर कम बुरी लगे ऐसी खबर खबर ना रहे, पहचाना नहीं लोगों से कहना, और इस पहचान को नहीं पहचाना तो वो कैसा पहचान. ये भी तो हो सकता है कि तू चाहती है कि मैं नहीं चाहूं कि मैं चाहूं. You get my point. The dialogues are written in such riddles that through some instances, the movie also confuses you on where it's going, what the character wants, what is he even trying to say. Rakul Preet Singh and Ajay Devgan. Rakul is given majority of the heavy lifting in this movie, and this movie is primarily focused on the tension, animosity and arguments that she gets into with her father, while her boyfriend, who she is getting married to, just observes from the corner, aka Ajay Devgan. This is the most acting I have seen Rakul Preet Singh do, and I'll be honest, I have very mixed remarks regarding her skill as a performer. She looks great, there is no doubt about it, but her pitch of frustration and arguments is mostly associated with a lot of screaming and yelling. When you put this side by side with an actor like Madhavan, who manages his levels dependent on the mood or what is being said, you see the lack of range in a performer like Rakul. What's also hilarious is that in one argument, they staged the scene in such a patchy fashion that she's pacing around a character while shouting at him, almost about to stumble on a couch, and is helped by the said person that she's shouting at in order to balance herself and then continue the argument wherever they left off. It's very awkward. It's a case also of the lack of skills in improv and just being rather one tone, looking glamorous or just being perpetually irritated and screaming. And I say this with the utmost respect to a star like Ajay Devgan, but he is sleepwalking through this role. There is barely anything that he is doing, and he is more of a passive observer of things than anything else. He only somewhat wakes up in the last 30 minutes of this movie, making his contribution to the film really negligible. You know what? There is a point in this movie where I felt like, hey, I'm not going to be harsh on this film because it seems like just one of those casual watches on the weekend. You don't have to think much. You know the movies where critics say, apna dimag ghar chhod ke aana type movies. But the movie wants to be serious regarding relationships and several of its dynamics, and it employs this twist that is so tone deaf, so irritating and so dragged that I genuinely believe that they think that they pulled off something Nolan-esque. The acts committed by the characters in this said twist, just to prove a point, are so catastrophic, such deal breakers that you can't help but contemplate on how they justified it in their head. You know what's the biggest problem in all of this? The movie and storyline develops in such a way where you don't even want the leading pair to end up together for just how unlikable they are or how problematic some of their decisions are. You actually start contemplating that these two are better off single than being together. And when a movie and its leading pair are making you feel this way as a viewer, then the movie only falters in its execution, making De De Pyaar De 2 honestly a very, I don't want to be rude, but a very stupid film for me that has momentary fun in the first half but falters terribly on how it shapes up and what it wants to say regarding long-lasting relationships and even marriage. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below what you thought about De De Pyaar De 2. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram. The handles are right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.